So one of the ways, you know, the bugaboo of the heel strike, we've been hearing that endlessly. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And I personally think that the way to explain it is like this. If I had all of you stand up and jump up and land on your heels, you know. Oh, I jumped a little bit too high there, hold on. You know, just jump up and sort of feel how incredibly useful the heel is in absorbing impact, right? Hell no. The heel sucks at absorbing impact. And only way anyone can jump up and down and land on their heel is if they have some kind of padding. Because I can tell you right now, if I had all of you jump off a 1-foot-high box and land on your heel, you wouldn't do it a second time, and somebody would be writing the Geneva Convention to make sure this was on torture. You know, cannot be done to prisoners who are being held. I mean, the body is not particularly well designed to land on the heel with any great impact. However, if you jump up and land more or less on the balls of your feet with your knees and ankles somewhat relaxed, human beings are really good at being able to very, very gently land in such a way that you could do this all day long and you wouldn't really be wearing yourself out. And I like to think of that when I'm doing my introduction to barefoot running clinic. I like to get people to start thinking about how their body lands and what it feels like to land. And indeed, just walking, even though it's perfectly natural to have a heel strike when you walk, particularly on surfaces that are smooth and endlessly navigable, like sort of, in some ways I think the world we designed in our world today is kind of like the answer to our ancestors' prayers. Endlessly navigable, you know, smooth, balanced, safe surfaces that you can pretty much go into almost a state of unconsciousness and easily maneuver through. And the one particular, you know, a heel strike is perfectly natural for our ancestors, let's say walking to the water hole, or walking through the village, or walking in environments that are safe and smooth and, you know, no problem. However, it's pretty much the only gait pattern that most people are used to using these days. And one of the things I like to do is get people walking in their bare feet on a hard surface in the way they would normally walk, and just start listening to the sound of the movement in their body. And indeed, what you'll find is that you'll be hearing something, and it's generally kind of a thumping sound, but it's not an emergency. It's kind of like, it's not a problem, your body's just, you're aware of it, and it's not like screaming out, please stop. But then I have them walking in the same way, just begin to move so that more of the energy is landing on their forefoot. But nonetheless, still their heel coming down. So for all intents and purposes, people watching them wouldn't really notice a significant difference. I like talking it as like walking like a dancer, more integrated into your body. And indeed, when you start moving that way, and you start listening to the sound of the movement in your body, you have a sudden shift, and it goes to almost nothing. It almost becomes silent. And I started imagining what kind of environments would you want to walk in that kind of pattern. For example, perhaps you were wanting to stealthily walk up closer to something. Or perhaps you were walking in an environment where you might be a target, and let's say to something might want to eat you. You might want to be able to walk smoothly and stealthily. Or walking in an environment that's no longer flat and even and smooth, where you had to be really, really nuanced movement about walking over rocks that were rolling, or being able to leap over things. Suddenly, that particular movement pattern ends up becoming the one that's ideal for that situation. And it's one that very few people even use anymore in their regular walking behavior. We've got these big padded shoes on our heeled shoes that allow us to do all kinds of things all the time the same. So when I have people starting to experience that, you know, for a lot of people that's an epiphany. They show up at my camp and they're like, oh, Barefoot Ted, yay! You know, they take off their shoes like a pound of weight and it's like, yay, let's go run on the grass, let's go run in something soft, right? That's the first thing that everybody thinks. And I think, well, hold on, hold your horses. One of the problems, and I think I'm going to go back over here. Oh, is that okay that I move? Yeah? Is that a plus or a positive? One of the patterns that you see so many people moving in running shoes these days, this disconnected pattern, is a very landing-centric kind of movement pattern. So that people, it's kind of slower and kind of boom, you know, boom. And often, if you hear people running these days, not all, But a lot of people, when they run by, it's like, holy moly, man, this is some serious sound going down. I mean, it's like, wow, are they trying to, pound something into the ground here? And indeed, if I let people just who have been used to running this way, and you just take their shoes off and say, God, go run in the grass, go run somewhere soft. Well, grass is kind of a mystery material. And if you just start running out there and take your shoes off and it's kind of soft, you can run in this kind of old style. And you suddenly land on something sharp or hard or slippery or a rock or squishy or whatever, and you're making these fully committed landings, well, you could be in trouble. And I've seen it happen. It's like, oh my God, you can't do this. This is crazy. And they're running on grass, and I'm thinking, whoa, what? Yeah, that is a good point.